Today, we're going to be working on a cool little project for an upcoming adventure. I think it's going to be fun. But first, we got to run to town and get some supplies. Let's get it. All right, so I got pretty much everything I needed for the project, I think. But I always feel weird filming in places like that. I don't know why. It just kind of, I don't know, I always feel uncomfortable doing it. But now, let's run home and get this project started. It's going to be pretty fun. It's going to be a lot of work, but I think it's going to be cool when we get done. So, all right, guys, so we are back. We're ready to get started on this project. First off, before we get into this thing, I want to tell you, I don't have a fancy fab shop. I love to make stuff, but I don't have some fancy fab shop. I do it right here in my front yard. I don't have all these thousands of dollars worth of tools. This week's video, we're going to be doing with a Harbor Freight grinder and about a 15-year-old Harbor Freight Sawzall. Fingers crossed we can make it work. But this is just a project that I've been wanting to do. Yes, I could buy one of these. Maybe not quite as cheap, but for a whole lot less work, I could buy one. But you guys know I don't like to do that. I like to build something if I can. The problem is I'm a big boy, and the weight limit on these products that you can buy like from Amazon or other places, the weight limit's about 300 pounds. Well, that puts me at the top of the weight limit, and I don't really want to do that. I want to make sure that I can build something that's more heavy duty, that's going to carry my weight and I'm going to be comfortable in and have some confidence in. So, if you haven't already guessed, today we are going to build a hitch-mounted hammock hanger. Sarah and I have a trip coming up, and it's going to require me to probably have something that I can hang in standalone because Sarah's going to be sleeping in the vehicle. And we're probably going to take her car, but needless to say, she's going to be sleeping in the vehicle and I'm going to be in my hammock. So I'm going to need a way to do that because chances are this place is not going to have any trees for me to hang off of. So without further ado, let's break out some tools, let's get sweaty and dirty, and build something. Should be a lot of fun. Now it should also be said there will be a tiny amount of welding that needs to be done on this. And I'm not a certified welder, I'm a backyard welder at best, and that's not even very good. So I don't even know if my welder can handle the thickness of the steel we're going to be working on. So what we may end up doing is getting everything mocked up, tacked in, and make sure it's going to work the way I want it to. And then I will have to get with my buddy Zach and have him finish weld everything. But today, the main goal is to get the main project put together and kind of do a proof of concept, make sure it's going to work. Okay, so we're going to be using this Bauer grinder, some cut-off wheels, Sawzall blades, this old Sawzall, a chunk of old 2x2 tubing that I had, a T-bevel, this piece of, I think it's 2.5 by 2.5, it's a receiver for this size, this old receiver hitch, a face shield, and a Fresca. So I've watched a lot of videos on guys building these. Problem is those guys are a lot smaller than me, and I needed to build something that was going to handle my weight. So I went to Lowe's. I picked up a piece of 1.25 inch black iron pipe. Now this 1.25 inch black iron pipe was a 10-foot stick. I had them cut it in half for me, so I've got 2 5-foot sticks. These were roughly, it was $44 for a whole stick of it. So the $44 here plus the $16 worth of stuff I've got from Harbor Freight. So I've got roughly $60 wrapped up in it so far. This is not a how-to video, guys. This is not a follow Sean step-by-step video. This is just me dragging you along and watching me build this project. So these are the materials we got to use today. And if we don't get started actually using them, we're not going to get this thing done. All right, so first off, we're going to mutilate this receiver hitch. And I know that might be hard for some of you guys to take, but that's what we're going to do. So I don't need this piece. So the first thing we're going to do is cut this off. But I do think that this angle is going to be pretty good for the angle that we're going to need to kick that hammock hitch off of the back of the vehicle and keep it from swinging me up against the back of the vehicle. So I'm just going to wing it and go with this angle and hope that that will be enough. We'll mock it up and see though. But first thing we're going to do is I'm going to cut right along this line here and cut this front chunk off of this. Well, it ain't 100% perfect, but it's close enough for the work we're doing. So I'm going to go ahead and grind this edge up, make sure I've got it all nice and cleaned up. And then we'll go ahead and mock it up on that piece of, I don't know if that's 2.5 inch or 3 inch, but it's the right size for the receiver to slide inside of. So we're going to go ahead and grind this up real quick, and then we'll mock it up on that. Safety first. Alright, so just as I suspected, the welder that I've got is not strong enough to actually burn in good on this steel. It's just too thick for it. Of course, I'm going to have a jet fly overhead right now. But I'm sure my buddy Zach can probably handle those for me, no problem. After the fact, I'll go ahead and cut these off. I won't need those on there, but I just wanted to make sure this angle was going to be basically correct on here for me. The next thing we're going to do is I'm going to put this insert in there, and I'll have one on either side. That way I can adjust this thing out and make sure I get my angle correct for my hammock. And then once I do that, I'll know how much of this to keep and how much of it I can get rid of. So, now what I mean by that, enough angle, is there has to be some angle like this leaning off of the back of the Jeep, because if this thing was straight up and down, you're going to hang straight up and down under it, and I would just be mashed right up against the side of the Jeep. So if I've got enough angle on that bottom bar there, then I should be able to put those poles in, and it'll swing me out away from the Jeep. That's the plan anyway. So let's see. And I am just eyeballing it right now. But roughly, now it'll be further out than this, but roughly that's going to put me hanging somewhere out here, and that should be plenty. So that angle is going to work for me, I believe. Alright, so the next thing we got to do is make sure that we have enough angle on those pipes to keep our hammock tight. So we're going to take the hammock and try to stretch it out here. If the wind will keep from blowing it away. So something like that. Now let's get those bars. Okay, so we're just roughing it in right now. Okay, so I know this doesn't look real scientific, but we're just kind of roughing it in right now. But I want to have this piece of square stock that I can slide in and out of there with a couple of holes in this so I can adjust the width in case I want to use a different hammock with this. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and set this thing up on the shortest section for this hammock, and then we'll have some room left on this thing to adjust for bigger hammocks. Doesn't take all that much, but I want to have some adjustment to it. So we're going to go ahead and put this in there, and then I'm going to take that T-bevel I've got and find the right angle that will match both sides. That's the idea anyway. Now I know it's kind of hard for you to visualize what I'm doing, but what I'm actually doing here is I'm trying to find what that angle is going to be. So I'm roughing it in right now to figure out what that angle is going to be, and then we'll use the T-bevel down here to really nail it down. Yes, I'm aware that there are algebraic equations to figure all this out, but I never was good at algebra in school, so I'm having to do it the hard way. I've got the T-bevel here. I've got this sort of measured out with a tape measure, how I think it's going to work. So now we're going to get down here, and we'll take the T-bevel and adjust the angle to match this side, and then we're going to check it on this side and see if that actually matches. So right now, that's the only way that I know how to do it, but I think I can make that work. So we're going to try it anyway. That should be our angle there. That should be our angle, so we'll try it over here and see if it matches. That is almost dead on. That's close enough for me to work with anyway. Alright, so I think I've got our angle figured out now. It's time to go cut some angles. Alright, so the next thing we're going to do is go ahead and cut this piece in half, because we can use one of these on each end of that main pipe. So that's the next step. Alright, I know the welds look like crap, but Zach will fix that for me, hopefully. I got the right angle cut on it though. Here in a second I'm going to show you how this thing's going to work. I'm pretty happy with the way it's coming though. Okay, so I pretty much got that all mocked up the way I want it. But I was trying to fit these in there, and I realized that these are a little bit thicker than the little, I bought a little nipple just to check the size, and those nipples are just a little bit smaller than these. So I'm going to have to take this and mill this thing down on 4 sides to make it fit down in there. All right, well, here we are, day 2. So, did as much as I could do yesterday evening, and the battery kept going dead. So I just decided to go ahead and call it a night, let both the batteries charge up all the way. But we still have to grind these down just a little bit. So we've got some good batteries this morning. We're going to go ahead and try to grind these down as much as we can. Part of the problem, though, is inside this pipe is a weld seam. And so that weld seam is sticking up inside the pipe a little bit. And that is accounting for part of the problem. So I've just got my old bastard file here. And I'm in there cleaning up that little seam. And I'm holding my pipe here. And I'm kind of testing it, and it's actually starting to go on there a little bit now. A little bit. Still got a little ways to go. I don't mind a tight fit. I just need it to be easy to be able to get in and out of there. So, still got a little ways to go on this, but we're making progress. That's pretty close. Still have to do a little work because I want to soften it up, make it a little easier to come in and out. It has become blatantly obvious why these people have all those shops full of tools. Because this is a lot of work. That's okay, we're getting it. We are getting it. That's our side right there. Got it. Well, it's break time. Sarah brought me some boiled peanuts and a Fresca. I'm on a little Fresca kick right now. I love boiled peanuts. Okay, so we pretty much got everything mocked up the way I want it. All that's left to do is try it. And I've got those welds tacked pretty good, and I think they're gonna hold, but fingers crossed. I don't know, I may end up on the ground or in an emergency room. Hopefully not though. But we're gonna be taking Sarah's car on our trip coming up, so I figure we better go ahead and try it out on Sarah's car and make sure it's gonna work. What are you doing? Huh? What are you doing? All right, pretty simple. So this just pops into here. These pop into either side. Don't mind my dirty feet. Like that. These bars drop in. Like that. Now, let's hook the hammock on it. And we're going to test this thing out. And fingers crossed, everything goes okay. Alright. So I'm going to be using this Kajaro hammock from Walmart. I will have a different way to hook it up, but for this test, we're just gonna hook it up here. But I do have something else I'm gonna use for that. But this is just a test to see if it's even gonna work. Whew. Doesn't seem like anything's really moving. I don't hear any creaking and popping. If this thing breaks, no laugh. Well, if this thing breaks, you guys won't ever see this. I do have Sarah in the background here, just in case things go wrong. Here we go. It's a little high, but it won't be quite that bad once I get those other mounting points on there. Feels pretty solid. Not that bad. Now once I get the other mounting points on here, it'll give me a little slack in it and it won't be quite so tight. Here we go. Just like that. I got a hammock hitch. It's even further away from the back of your car than a Jeep.
Can you open the back?
With me in it? I don't know. Yep.
Not bad.
That's pretty cool. Great success. I'm happy. I'm not on the dirt, so I'm really happy. But
is it comfortable?
Yeah, it's comfortable. It's not bad at all.
There's a little Maddie dog coming to see you.
Yep. Where you at, Maddie? Maddie, come. Come here. Where are you going? You gotta come to one side or the other.
In the car.
Maddie, come here. Come on. Jump. Jump. Can you jump? Come on. Come here, Daddy, help you. Come here. Oh. There you go. All right, lay down. Lay down.
She's just surveying.
All right, well, I'm happy. You happy, Maddie? Fantastic. You happy being in a hammock? You love being in a hammock, don't you? All right, guys, so it's not completely finished yet. I still have a few little things that I need to do to it, but I can't really do most of that stuff before the finish welding and everything is done. I want to finish grinding it up and painting it and all that stuff. But this video was basically just a proof of concept to make sure it was actually going to work. And I am super happy with the way this thing has turned out. So I'd say right now with the stuff that I've got in it, I've got roughly $65 in it or so. Minus the hammock, you know, I already had that, and those couple pieces of steel down there. Like I said, this is not a follow along, this is not a how-to video. This was kind of just me showing you what I was doing with this. So, hope you guys enjoyed this video. Hope you learned something from this video. Or maybe you were inspired by this video to do something for yourself. So, if you enjoyed the video, give it that big thumbs up for me. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. Ring that notification bell so you'll get notified next time we put up a video. You can follow us on Instagram and on Facebook. I appreciate you guys watching. I'll see you next week.